Take a look at this graph. See that spike? That's the moment a small leather crafts business found the secret that led to 800,000 followers and over 100 million views in just 6 months. The impact of this growth on Tanner Leatherstein's sales was so big he increased his monthly website traffic from 10,000 to 100,000. And now every time he launches a new and more expensive item, this happens.
I make a briefcase that's $1,200 today with that leather, but now they're the first thing to sell out.
The weirdest part is Tanner didn't hire a full-on content team, create MrBeast style videos, or invest thousands of dollars in paid ads. Still, he's getting as much attention as Chanel or Louis Vuitton because he found the secret ingredient for online success that almost all of other brands ignore. And I know all of this because Tanner, he's one of my clients at Hookpoint. So in this video, I'll show you how my team and I used our 18 years of social media experience to help Tanner apply a 5-part formula to create viral content. If you follow this, you'll get more leads and spend more time doing what you love instead of worrying about sales. But the thing is, when Tanner first started his TikTok account, his strategy wasn't working, even though he seemed to be doing everything right. Tanner was really passionate about his brand Pagaille. His items were top-notch and he had a clear why, making leather items more accessible to everyone. But he was committing a mistake that 90% of businesses make when they start on social media. He was talking to people like him, leather fans. I know you might be thinking, but Brendan, I need to talk to people who are like me because they're the ones who'll buy my products and services. But if you want to get more views, more followers, and become the top 1% on social media, you have to talk to everyone. There is no other option when you want to play at the highest level of success on social media. I'll show you why that is and how you can use this to your advantage in just a little bit. But first, let me show you how this approach allowed Tanner to reach millions of views, double the price of his products, and sell more than he had ever had in his entire life.
Now I'm reviewing high-end products. The bags we're talking about is $3,000, $2,000, and these people are used to paying that kind of prices. Now they ask me to use similar leathers that big brands use, and I started doing it. Normally I would sell that bag for $250, but because of the higher cost of the leather, I'm like, okay, this bag is $450, and they don't even question this product or price. I couldn't even put that comfortably in front of my audience before, but now I make a briefcase that's $1,200 today with that leather, which I couldn't even imagine making and putting in my catalog before. So they're the first thing to sell out.
But even better, Tanner's reputation for reviewing leather products in a knowledgeable and helpful way is so well established, he now gets messages from other brands asking when he'll review their bags.
And I heard that like, oh, we are really scared when you're gonna get a bag from us and what are you gonna think about it. I'm surprised like how much they respect to my opinion on these videos.
He also made it to the Business of Fashion 500, a list of the top people shaping global fashion today, and he was even invited to an exclusive event at Paris Fashion Week. But you might be thinking, what's so special about Tanner's content that he was able to get such results? Well, it's best that you see it for yourself. This video got 10 million views. Let's watch it and break down what he's doing right. Pay attention and write anything that catches your attention, whether it's an action, something he says, or even a sound. Now keep this list next to you so that you can see how many elements you guessed correctly at the end of this video.
Coach leather bags. Are they worth it? I went to the Coach store yesterday and this was the bag I loved the most.
See how he's telling a story?
This was made out of glow tan leather. And the
inside cutting there, the suede, ASMR.
But I have my doubts. And as you can see, this is all fabric, not suede.
There's some more ASMR.
In my opinion, about 6 feet of leather to put this bag together, about $5 a foot, $30 for the leather. Insanely good brass accessories, they used a lot of them. With the fabric, I give it another $30.
So he's breaking down the math behind it.
And in my estimate, about $70 should be enough to put this bag together. In total, $130 for the materials and labor. I paid $450. Doesn't sound like a bad deal. I love the leather, the feel and look of it. I hate that I was told inside was suede and it's fabric. And they used PU leather for the story patch inside. I wish it was real leather.
Tanner used a lot of different elements in this video to help it reach 10 million views, and we'll break them down one by one. Starting with an antidote to a mistake almost all business owners make. So step 1 to go viral is to stop aiming for the bullseye. What do I mean by that? Remember I told you that talking about leather would only interest a small group of enthusiasts? Here, Tanner found a way to make his content appealing to everyone. How? By creating a series called Is It Worth It?, where he dissects luxury goods to check their quality and value. But why does it work so well? Let me show you in practice. This circle represents everybody on TikTok. And here's Tanner's target audience, leather enthusiasts. If the platform showed his content to that entire audience of leather fans, then he could create only content for these people. But that's not how these platforms work. Instead, they show your content to a small sample of people who have varying interests. But only a small percentage of these people will look like your target audience and watch the entire video, like it, share it, or comment. But then the rest of the sample audience is not going to engage with your content because they're just not interested in what you do. And as a result, the platform stops delivering your content to more people here at this first 100 or 1,000 people. But you can change that. If you can instead create content that speaks to everyone on the platform, this is what happens. You make this video for those other people, they will engage and the platforms will test your content on a bigger sample of people. This might be 1,000 or 10,000 people. And if you can do the same thing again, then the platform will test your content again on an even bigger sample, maybe 100,000 or maybe 1,000,000 people. And that's how virality works. And you might think, okay, Brendan, but why do I care about people seeing my content if they're not gonna buy my products and services anyway? The answer is that if you want to reach these people, then you have to reach everybody else who is not your ideal customer. That's the approach that Tahini Restaurant used to ramp up its customers. Instead of making ads about their products, they make skits around their food. This led them to 50 million views on a single video. This is huge for sales because if you get 5,000 views on a video and manage to convert 10%, that's 500 sales. But if you convert just 0.1% of those 50 million views, you're looking at 50,000 conversions. So in essence, you have to stop aiming for the bullseye and start hitting the whole target to get the attention of more people who will buy from you. But how does Tanner do it? A, he talks about well-known brands. Think about it. Even if you're not into leather craft, you've probably heard of Chanel or Louis Vuitton. So you might be curious to know what Tanner has to say about them. And B, Tanner tells a story. When he teases whether a product is worth it or not, he's ultimately telling a story about whether you're being scammed if you buy from that brand. Notice how in the video I played, he builds on this angle by saying the seller told him the inside of the fabric was suede, but then Tanner reveals it's actually another fabric. This approach makes his content accessible to anyone because it's not just about learning more about leather, it's about learning about something that is useful to you. But does that work for any type of product or service? The answer is yes. I've worked with a dentist, Dr. Jordan Davis, who reviews celebrity teeth as a way to get more eyes on his content. Another great example is Robert Croak. He talks about investing, but instead of starting a video with a topic only people interested in investing would pay attention to, he starts with the following sentence: do you want to be the first millionaire in your family? This is something that everyone who wasn't born a millionaire will pay attention to and watch, sending the right signals so the platform shares your content with more people. But you've probably noticed something super obvious that might be the biggest reason Tanner's videos work so well. Did you notice what he's doing here, besides tearing apart expensive goods? Let me show you, because this step is the difference between someone scrolling past your video and someone stopping to watch the whole thing. But don't worry, you don't have to destroy anything to put this into practice. So this video got 5.9 million views.
Can you believe I paid $2,200 for this bag?
Well, this one got a little over 100,000 views.
Fossil passport wallet. Is it worth it? I had a friend that used the same.
Can you see why? In the first video, Tanner opens with, "Can you believe I paid $2,200 for this bag?" while simultaneously taking apart the luxury bag. This immediately makes viewers curious. They're like, why would he do that? This also creates a high-stakes situation where people wonder what will happen once he destroys such an expensive item. And with that, they are hooked. But in the second one, Tanner begins with a shot of his hands holding a wallet with a text overlay. This shot doesn't establish that the wallet is a luxury item, nor does it show Tanner taking the wallet apart right away. Most viewers won't be curious about why Tanner is holding a random wallet and may click away before he begins destroying it. This is why step 2 is using high stakes visual hooks. Using high stakes visual hook is like waving a red flag to a bull. It keeps viewers mesmerized by your video, waiting for the bull's next move, or in your case, the consequences of your hook, just like a bull staring at a red flag. But how do you wave a red flag without destroying anything? It's easy. Just think about something unusual that might bring unexpected consequences to start your video with. For example, the account Are You Kidding TV has reached immense success by making videos where they stand with a random set of instructions like, the first person to bring us cooked mac and cheese, throw a book in the air, and then dump this bucket of apple juice on their head gets this brand new MacBook Air. The sheer randomness of this written request is enough to capture people's sight and make them stop, while the promise of the MacBook makes this a high-stakes situation. I've also worked with a professional chef, Dean Shermay, who starts his videos by mixing two mismatched food styles, like Raisin Cane's and Indian food. The two bowls at the beginning of the video symbolize which foods Dean will mix, creating a visual hook, while the possibility of ruining two foods adored by hundreds of millions of people makes this a high-stakes situation, leading viewers to ask themselves, will he be able to pull it off? This approach works so well for Dean, he got 1.9 million views in a single video. So if you want to get the same results and become the go-to expert in your field with a brand that stands out and attracts leads and sales, then you might want to book a call with my team. Just click the link below in the description to start your journey to viral success. Now going back to the video, you might wonder, once you grab the attention of viewers, well, how do you keep it? Well, step 3 is a tactic to help you with that. Remember when I showed you one of Tanner's videos that got 10 million views? Pay attention because I'll reveal one more secret from it. Compare that to this next video, which only got 115,000 views.
How does Coach Glow Tan Leather hold up after 20 years? We have another viewer submission, a Coach bag from 2003, almost 20 years old, used very heavily. Overall, the leather looks good. It's broken in very nicely. It still feels very subtle.
Did you notice anything weird about the second video? Can you guess the reason for the huge difference in views? If you guessed the first video did better because of ASMR, you're spot on. For those of you unfamiliar with it, ASMR is a style of video that includes pleasing sounds and visuals to help people relax. Generally, helping people wind down is the only goal of this content. But lately, videos with more educational purposes have used ASMR to hook people with great results. But how do you apply that to your video the right way and get 10 times the amount of views? Let's see that in practice. In the first video, Tanner carefully cuts the bag with a knife in a repetitive straight pattern. He does the same to remove the stitching, providing a satisfying visual. He also tears apart the bag in a way that creates a pleasing sound. During the second video, Tanner cuts through the bag, but the leather and fabric begins to crumple up in a disorganized way that isn't visually appealing. It looks messy and disorderly, which may be a stressful visual for some viewers. The white specks of dirt or lint on the bag also makes it look dirty, sloppy, and unappealing. This is why step 3 is all about adding pleasing sensory experiences. Having pleasing experiences in your video is like gifting your viewer with a spa day, where every moment is designed to relax and please their senses. The methodical cutting and stitching are like a soothing massage that eases your stress. But in the second video, it's like being stuck in a crowded, noisy commute. It's chaotic, stressful, it makes you wish for an escape. But again, you don't need to cut through anything to make this step work. For example, if you're a chef, the sizzle of a pan or the crunch of a crisp vegetable can be your sensory hook. And if you're a teacher, the sound of chalk on a blackboard or the rhythmic tapping of a marker on a whiteboard can be your sensory hook. But satisfying as it may be, this isn't enough. Because if you don't apply the next step, your video runs the risk of being all style and no substance. And unless you're a luxury brand, people won't buy from you just due to your style. There's a reason people pay attention to Tanner's advice as opposed to other creators in the same niche. Because most of the time, he'll do this.
Paying $5.35 for this, a huge waste of money if you're in it for leather. If you know you're buying status, then you decide if it's worth it.
By offering specific advice to the viewer and directly addressing the viewer with you, Tanner emphasizes that he is on their side and wants to help them make a decision that aligns with their motivation. The result? 3.8 million views. But sometimes even Tanner will make mistakes, like in this video where he only got 106,000 views.
One of their Made in Vietnam collection. I would love to see their Made in USA collection to compare later on.
Here, Tanner doesn't offer specific advice or purchasing guidance for the viewer. As a result, the viewer might feel like Tanner isn't considering their perspective or using his expertise to help guide them in making informed decisions. This is why the fourth step is becoming the tour guide, not the tourist. This is what I mean. Tanner's conclusion in the first video is like having a trustworthy tour guide who not only shows you the sights, but also gives you insider tips, ensuring that you make the most of your trip. But the second video feels like wandering around with a fellow tourist who's just as lost as you are. There's no clear direction or valuable advice, leaving you to figure things out on your own. It's the same thing that happens when you watch the news and they're talking about something unrelated to your life, like the collapse of China's economy. If you live in any other country, you might not care about it and just turn off the TV. But if the news anchor explains exactly how this will affect you, no matter where you live in the world, then everything makes sense. So if you want to create the same effect for your viewers so they trust your advice, here's what you can do. First, give a strong piece of advice. Second, explain to the viewer what it means for them. And then third, give them an action point based on that. Just like I did here. But there's an even better way to provide value to the viewer I see almost no one using. If you master this step before other people find out about it, you're guaranteed to stand out. I'll explain what this is with one more clip.
Chanel wallet. Is it worth it? It's a very well constructed piece with turned edges and everything. For the labor craftsmanship, I give them a generous estimate of $50. For other accessories, probably another $10. But here's where I have a problem with the leather. They lost me here with the very heavy finish on the leather. They say calfskin. So there's a very heavy finish with an embossed pattern that looks like basketball leather on this. So calfskin, we choose calfskin because of its natural beautiful grain, and you don't need that oversized over finishes on it to embrace that beauty. But for standardization purposes, they overdid it and it feels like plastic. I don't feel the leather, I don't feel the calfskin. To be honest, you could use any kind of leather for this kind of finish because it's going to hide it all.
Did you catch that step? When Tanner explains that the high quality leather of the wallet is hidden beneath the excessive finish, and that Chanel could have used cheaper leather, as the overdone finish obscures the leather's quality, he surprises viewers. People typically expect brands to hide the use of cheaper materials, not expensive quality ones. So, this insight challenges the audience to rethink their assumptions about a brand's approach to luxury products and leaves viewers with a sense that they've learned something new and unexpected. This is why step 5 is to pull a Fight Club. What I mean is that Tanner's insight in the Chanel wallet video is like a surprising plot twist in a movie that makes you see the entire story in a new light. It leaves you eager to keep talking about that movie and share it with friends. On the other hand, videos without these insights are like movies with predictable endings. They might be informative, but they don't leave a lasting impression nor make you want to talk about it. But how do you put this into practice? If you've worked long enough doing something, you probably get the same questions asked over and over. Or maybe people make the wrong assumptions about your craft. Sit down and try to remember all the times people assumed something wrong about your services, or any time that they were surprised by something that you explained. Then make a list. You can also use the internet for this step. If you're a doctor who specializes in helping people sleep better, you can just search sleep myths on Google or on any social media platform to help you come up with ideas. But there's a piece of information missing. I know you might think getting views is nice, but how did Tanner turn those views into actual customers? How does that happen? What else do I need to do? Well, this might be counterintuitive, but you don't need to be a salesman to sell. All you need to do is entertain and give value to viewers, and the rest will follow. Don't believe me? Here's what Tanner has to say about this.
If I can become the trusted leather advisor in front of these people, they will eventually, in time, over time, they will understand, okay, if this guy says something good about this brand, I trust it.
But I must warn you, although this video shows you the steps Tanner took to go viral and get more customers, there's still one more thing that you need to know to put that into practice, which is why I made a video sharing everything that I've learned about going viral over the past 18 years. Click here to watch it.